If a person can disappear from the safest place they know, their own home, then how safe is anyone, really? On the morning of February 1st, 2026, in a quiet Arizona neighborhood where nothing ever seemed to happen, an 84-year-old woman vanished. No goodbye, no struggle heard by neighbors. No footsteps leading away, just silence, and traces of something violent left behind. Her name was Nancy Guthrie, and what investigators found inside her home would turn a peaceful retirement community into the center of one of America's most disturbing modern mysteries. Nancy Guthrie lived a quiet life in the Catalina foothills area near Tucson, Arizona. At 84 years old, her world moved at a slower pace. Morning routines, familiar neighbors, church gatherings, and phone calls with family. The kind of life built on predictability. The kind of life where danger feels distant, almost fictional. People who knew Nancy described her as warm, structured, and deeply independent. She wasn't fragile. She still managed her daily routines, still cared about her home, still followed habits that rarely changed. And that's exactly why her disappearance felt so wrong from the very beginning. The night before she vanished was ordinary. She had spent time with family. Conversations were normal, nothing unusual, no fear, no concern. She returned home safely, closing the door behind her like she had thousands of times before. Somewhere between that moment and sunrise, something happened. The next morning, Nancy didn't show up for church. For most people, missing a single event wouldn't mean much. But for Nancy, routine mattered. Family members immediately sensed something was off. Calls went unanswered. Texts received no reply. Hours passed, and worry slowly turned into dread. When relatives arrived at her home, they expected confusion. Maybe illness. Maybe a fall. Instead, they walked into a nightmare. Her car was still parked outside. Her phone remained inside the house. Her wallet hadn't moved. Medication she relied on daily sat untouched. Nothing suggested she had chosen to leave. And then, investigators noticed something else. Evidence that didn't belong in a peaceful home. Blood. Small traces at first, subtle, unsettling signs near the entrance area, enough to immediately shift the situation from a missing person case to something far more serious. Police sealed the property as an active crime scene. Neighbors watched quietly from across the street as flashing lights replaced the calm rhythm of suburban life. Yellow tape stretched across a driveway that had once welcomed friends and family. Detectives began asking a terrifying question. How does someone disappear without taking anything, unless they never intended to leave? As investigators reviewed surveillance footage from nearby homes, the mystery deepened. A figure appeared on camera during the night, masked, wearing gloves, moving with purpose. The person approached Nancy's home carrying what looked like a backpack. At one point, the individual appeared to interfere with security equipment, almost as if they knew exactly where cameras were positioned. This wasn't random wandering. This looked planned, careful, deliberate. Authorities publicly stated they believed Nancy Guthrie had been taken against her will. For residents of the neighborhood, fear spread quickly. Many had lived there for decades, believing crime simply didn't reach their community. Doors were often left unlocked. Nights were quiet enough to hear desert winds moving through trees. Now, every unfamiliar sound felt threatening. Search teams began combing nearby desert terrain. Volunteers, law enforcement, and federal agents moving across vast Arizona landscapes under relentless sun. Helicopters circled overhead. Dogs searched for scent trails that faded into nothing. Days passed. Then weeks. No confirmed sightings. No ransom demands. No clear suspect. The silence surrounding the case became its own kind of horror. Nancy's family made emotional public appeals, asking anyone with information to come forward. Their voices carried exhaustion and disbelief, the kind that comes when reality refuses to make sense. How could someone elderly, vulnerable, and deeply rooted in her routine simply vanish? Investigators explored every possibility. Was Nancy targeted personally? Was this a burglary gone wrong? Or had someone been watching her, learning her habits, waiting for the perfect moment? The idea that someone may have studied her routine unsettled both detectives and the public. The suspect's behavior suggested preparation gloves, concealment, awareness of cameras. This wasn't impulsive. It felt intentional. And that realization changed everything. The FBI joined the investigation, bringing additional forensic resources. Evidence collected from the home underwent detailed testing. DNA samples were analyzed. Every lead, no matter how small, was pursued. At one point, investigators detained and questioned individuals connected to possible leads, but nothing resulted in charges. Each announcement raised hope briefly only for it to fade again. Meanwhile, Nancy remained missing. Her absence created a strange emotional space, somewhere between grief and uncertainty. Families often say that loss without answers feels different. There's no closure, no final moment to accept reality, just questions repeating endlessly. Where is she? Is she alive? Did she suffer? Could someone have helped sooner? Community members organized vigils, holding candles as desert air cooled around them after sunset. Strangers stood together united by empathy, many imagining their own parents or grandparents in Nancy's place. Because that was the part that unsettled people most. Nancy Guthrie wasn't living a risky lifestyle. She wasn't traveling alone in unfamiliar places. She was at home, the one place everyone believes they are safest. And yet, safety failed. As months passed, investigators continued releasing limited information, carefully protecting details only the perpetrator would know. Authorities emphasized they believed the act was not random, suggesting Nancy herself may have been the intended target. But why? That question remains unanswered. Some theories suggested someone familiar with the neighborhood. Others believed the suspect may have been passing through. Online discussions speculated endlessly, but facts remained painfully scarce. What investigators did confirm was chilling. There were signs Nancy resisted. That detail transformed the case from mystery into tragedy, a reminder that her final known moments may have been filled with fear and confusion. Despite extensive searches across miles of desert and surrounding areas, no physical trace of Nancy has ever been publicly confirmed. No belongings recovered. No confirmed movement after that night. Just an absence that refuses to explain itself. Time moves differently in unsolved cases. Headlines fade, news cycles shift, but families remain frozen in the moment everything changed. For Nancy's loved ones, February 1st never truly ended. Every phone call still carries possibility. Every unknown number sparks hope. Every new tip reopens emotional wounds. Investigators continue urging anyone with information to come forward, emphasizing that even the smallest detail could change the course of the case. Because somewhere, someone knows something. Someone saw something unusual that night. Someone remembers a vehicle parked where it shouldn't have been. Someone may even recognize the figure captured briefly on camera. And until that person speaks, the mystery remains unfinished. The disappearance of Nancy Guthrie forces an uncomfortable realization. Evil doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it moves quietly, carefully, in the middle of ordinary life. A peaceful home. A familiar routine. One ordinary night. And then? Nothing. No answers. No closure. Just questions echoing through an empty house where life once felt safe. Today, Nancy Guthrie is still missing. Her story remains open, unresolved, and deeply human, not just a case file, but a reminder of how fragile normal life can be. Because somewhere in Arizona, a story ended without explanation. And somewhere else, someone continues living with the truth. If someone can vanish without a sound, if evidence can exist without answers, then the real question isn't just what happened to Nancy Guthrie. The real question is how many mysteries live quietly around us, waiting to be noticed only after it's too late. Until answers come, her story remains unfinished.